All right, Mom. So, first, I want to say something about something we're not talking about today. We will, but just not today. Today is October 8th, and October 7th was a day that unleashed a surplus of agony in Israel and in Palestine. And last year in the fall, I did 2 classes on Israel-Palestine, and in the spring we did two classes on Israel-Palestine. We haven't talked about it thus far. We will. And today we're talking about something else that I feel like is really quite appropriate for today. But yeah, a surplus of agony. Yesterday was the anniversary of the Hamas attacks in Israel. And since then have been just ongoing attacks and a war and a bombing in Gaza. The shelling of Gaza. So much agony, man. And by the way, it doesn't escape me that on the anniversary of October 7th, there's like a huge rally at the Allen Street gates in support of Palestinians. And I just want to say that the world is really divided. And if we keep dividing and dividing and dividing, eventually there will be nothing more to divide. And it seems to me that on that particular anniversary, from my personal perspective, and who is a person who supports humanity from so many perspectives, it seems to me that on the anniversary of those particular attacks, it might just take 24 hours as human beings to say, let's just send peace and not protest. Today, protest, but not on that day. It just seems to me very odd how incredibly divided we are. We just divide, y'all. Eventually, there's nothing to divide. Anyway, we'll talk about that. But today, we're talking about something else. Are we doing the best we can? And I'm going to talk for a few minutes, and then we're going to invite our volunteers up. Can you go to the first slide? So these are headlines. Florida sheriff, this is CNN, so you expect it to be hyperbolic. You expect it to be over the top. Expects catastrophic loss from Milton, the hurricane. The Wall Street Journal is a little more toned down, just kind of straight up news. But then I turned to Fox, and I said, what's Fox saying? And go to the next slide. And Fox, they were more really alarmist than anybody else. Monster storm could be the most destructive hurricane to ever hit America. Man, this hurricane, if you haven't been paying attention, that's headed right toward the western coast of Florida. So we're going to have a conversation about the climate. But first I want to say a few things. Like, I'm not a climate scientist. I'm a sociologist. And as a sociologist, I do what sociologists do. I go around the world and I talk to people and I ask them, what are you seeing? Like, what's your vision? What are you seeing on all of this, right? I don't go on the web very much. I'm very careful about what I see on the web because people can put things on the web that look really, really smart and really thoughtful, and then people comment in, and people don't know a damn thing, but can make it look really thoughtful and smart. And so I'm really careful about that. I happen to have had personal conversations with 3 of the really top climate scientists in the world, just by luck and by chance. So, I got their perspective on it. But I do what sociologists do. So go to the next slide. So I looked up to see, okay, who says this is coming? Climate change is coming. And not only is it climate change, but many people are thinking it's climate collapse. And this is real. Like, this is really serious. And these are all of the organizations that are saying, yeah, it's coming. The U.S. Navy, for example, and this is what I got from a rear admiral in the Navy who's retired, says that, look, the U.S. Navy has plans to move every single one of its naval bases inland because of rising sea levels. Not if they rise, it's when they rise. So it's like, damn, man, every one of those. Now, you can say, like, well, I don't know if I trust the CIA, or I don't know. Ten largest oil companies in the world. Airline industry, automotive industry. The largest financial investment companies in the world. And some of you in here who want to go into finance, many of you, you'll be working for them. They're all saying it's coming. It's not if, it's when. This is real. It's happening. And we're participating in it. It's coming. The Chinese Ministry of Ecology and the Environment. The Chinese government is organizing all of China. Everybody is organizing. This is it. Okay? Like, oh man. But me, for example, I think like, okay, well, all right, I don't know. Do I believe all these people? I mean, I can't believe myself. I don't believe I'm not going to believe like your Uncle Jerome. It's like, it's a bunch of bullshit, Your Aunt Juanita, it's like, no, I was listening to some guy on YouTube who said this is a bunch of fucking hyperbolic bullshit. Don't listen to them. It's like, I'm going to listen to these folks. This is where I'm going to go. But not only am I going to listen to them, go to the next slide. I'm going to go all over the world, and I'm going to do my research. So I'm going to show you some slides of people who are saying that, no, the climate is changing. In our lifetime, in the past several decades, the climate is changing. Like, in their lives, where they live, who they are, what they see with their own eyes. The climate is changing. So park rangers in Zimbabwe, it's like, yeah, everything's changing. They're reporting. Look, 30 years ago, this, and this didn't happen. 20 years ago, this, and this didn't happen. Look, we're seeing serious stuff. Next one. Sheep herders in Ireland. So these are all places where I just dug in and I said, okay, what are people saying about this on the ground? Not from their offices on the 80th floor of some building in New York City because they work at Merrill Lynch. Like, what are these folks saying? And they're saying like, yeah, no. We've seen stuff we've never, ever, ever seen. Next one. Fishermen in Canada. Everything's changing. They're reporting. They've been fishing for 100 years. And they're saying like, yeah, no, this is, here we go. Next one. Construction workers in Iraq. Man, we're experiencing stuff that we have never, ever experienced. That's reporting from the field. Okay? Next one. Corn farmers in the U.S. Next one. Bird watchers in Brazil. We're watching birding behavior that we've never, ever, ever seen. Ever. Man. Next one. Vegetable vendors in Mali. I read this really just great story and watched this video where they were interviewing all of these folks. And they're just talking about everything they're seeing. Next one. Right? Rice farmers in Korea. All over the world, man. You tap in. Just tap in. Ask people, what are you seeing? We're not going to argue about theories and stuff. This is what are you seeing? And everywhere we turn, people are reporting the data. And the data are, whoa, shit. Whoa. Okay. Go to the next slide. So here's the thing. You should probably have a sense by now that I'm a bit of an iconoclast. So if you're, when people are swimming upstream and everyone's going this way, I tend to have this idea that I want to get out of the way. It's like, whoa, you all go that way? I'm not sure I want to go with everybody else. You know what I mean? I want to stand here. I might go this way. I might just hang out here a little bit. But I generally speaking don't like to swim with all the other fish. Because I like to have the idea that I think on my own terms. And it's very difficult to think on one's own terms. Because in the end, for most of the time, you have to think like all the other fish. You find yourself in that position, man, just like all the other fish. That's the nature of it. Because we live in these communities and schools of lots of fish. And so we mostly think alike. But the problem is, we all want to be individuals. And we all want to be special. And we all want to feel like we're smarter than other people. That's the nature of it. Be smarter than other people. Because that's what it means, right? But you have that, like you want to feel like you don't want to feel like you're dumber than other people. You want to feel like you're smarter than, right? So then you want to sit back and be like, oh, look at all those stupid fish. They're all going this way, but I'm not like those stupid fish. I'm smarter than that. So I'm going to get out of the way. And so when I come across an issue like climate change or guns or war, Israel, Palestine, whatever it is, whatever the issue is, I first step off to the side and I say, okay, hang on. Man, how do I see this? How do I want to see this? I don't want to be stupid, but I don't want to follow everybody else, and I don't want to just follow what other people tell me, and it's really complicated, so I got to think on my own, but I don't want to be ignorant, and I'm not sure what to do, and I don't have time to investigate at the level at which I would have to investigate. Really, it takes a lot. So now I'm going to I'm not really sure what to do. Because I don't want to be just like the other fish. But at the same time, I don't want to be really dumb and go against the other fish just because I think I'm smarter than the other fish. You got it? Just because I need to not be like the other fish. Sometimes you just go with it. And you say, all right, man, here we go. Let's figure out what we're going to do here. So what I want to do is have a conversation about the climate and about the environment with you all, because I'm really curious about what you are thinking. Because I know what I'm thinking, and I want to hear what you're thinking. So if we can have our volunteers How'd I do, man?
I'm locked in.
You're locked in? All right, man. Was I fair to it, though? As a guy who's a little bit more conservative, you'd be a guy who'd be more likely to question.
I mean, well, I'd say personally, like, I can see this changing. Like,
You can see it.
Last time we had 3 feet of snow at home, I was like 7.
Yeah, last time you had 3 feet of snow. Yeah, last time we had even a foot of snow here in State College was 30 years ago. All right, man, let's start with you, man, and we'll introduce yourself.
Hello world, my name is Lucas and I'm third year computer engineering student and I'm also exchange student from Korea. Let's kick it.
Lucas and I met in Seoul in May.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Great. So hi, my name is Karen, and I'm a 4th year student here in Penn State, and that's pretty much all.
Okay, so Karen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, can you say what your background is real quick?
Well, I'm
Because I chose you because of your background, by the way.
Oh. I'm a first-gen student here, and my parents are Mexican, and they're both indigenous in Mexico. So, yeah.
What's their ancestry, like their tribe?
They're Tarascan, which is also known as Purépecha, in Michoacán. It's a state.
They were the only people that defeated the Aztecs, is that right?
Yeah, that's a really cool fact. They're one of the only tribes that really defeated the Aztecs. They could not bring them down.
And there's like 130 languages in Mexico, by the way. Her parents speak one of them.
The Tarascan language. It's really hard. I don't understand them sometimes.
Can you say hello?
Hoshka, I think. Hoshka.
You can't say I believe. This is your parents' language.
I think they use it as like kind of how we use like English sometimes.
Okay.
They use like
how do you say it again?
Hoshka.
Hoshka?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
That's cool. Okay. Awesome.
Hi, my name is Julia. I'm an international politics student and I'm a 2nd year.
Mm-hmm. And you were born in the Philippines?
Yes, I was born in the Philippines.
You're half Filipino.
Half Filipino, yes.
And also you have experience. You lived. Where else did you live?
So I was born in the Philippines, but I also lived in Micronesia and Fiji.
Mm-hmm. And I thought, okay, you'd be really good for this conversation because there are a lot of islands out there, thousands of them, that will no longer exist in another 15, 20 years. Yeah. Okay. And much of the Philippines, by the way. Yeah. Okay.
I'm Sam. I'm a 2nd year civil engineering student, and I'm from Camp Hill, Pennsylvania.
And by the way, after I chose, and you're a rock climber, right? A free climber?
I am. Bouldering.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Damn, man. Wait, do you do that scary climbing stuff? Like if I were watching you?
Sometimes.
Are you always tethered?
No, I don't use ropes.
You don't use ropes?
No, that's bouldering. You don't use ropes.
Does your mother, do you have a mother?
I do.
Has she ever watched you climb?
No, but she wants to.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend. Tell her I don't recommend that. Man, she'll lose years off her life. All right. What's the highest you've ever been dangling from the rocks without a rope?
Probably 35 to 40 feet.
Seriously?
On a boulder.
On a boulder?
Yeah. I do bouldering, so I don't do the big walls.
Oh, all right, I got you.
Usually 10 to 30 feet.
All right. Okay. So listen, Lucas, we're going to start with you, just since you're right here. Hey, what would you have to hear to be able to see this challenge? This is a challenge, climate change, climate collapse, right? What would you have to hear to see this as an interesting challenge for your generation?
So, like, there are a big wave of to handle this kind of collapse, and a lot of like company and media are stressing that we have to like change our car from ICE to EV, or like they keep trying to change, and they're making their own industry, like new industry.
Mm-hmm.
And like I don't know much about my generation. Honestly, for me, like I think like by this kind of wave, there are some people who are trying to make money by like making another industry by like doing that kind of stuff. And so the thing is, so for me, I don't trust that. So I haven't seen the evidence of like global warming. So if we think about the past, when there's a dinosaur and the temperature of that like term and this is quite different. And would you say that that is also climate collapse? That's just climate change.
Yeah.
And I want to say that too. So we're going to, like, yeah, there is climate change, but I want to stress that we're getting on the stage that is new normal.
Yeah. Okay. So let me ask you this. It's one thing to look at like changes over like 100,000 years or 10,000 years or 1,000 years or 30 years.
Yeah, it's not that strange. Like changes everywhere.
No, hang on. But what's different now is we're looking at decades. We're not looking at thousands of years. We're looking at decades. In a very short period of time, we're seeing like, oh my God, right? So do you when you think about your future, what do you see? When you think about that, okay? All of the things that I just said, when you think about your future, what do you see?
Like there's gonna be no fuels, like I mean chemical fuels. It can be all alternate to like electric, and I think new kind of agriculture technology will be like developed, and like someday we're gonna like eat artificial meat, like instead of like animal meat from animal, and like a lot of population will gonna be like decrease.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, so when you look ahead at your future, do you feel it sounds like you feel kind of optimistic.
I'm just adapt to like new world.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. Which is an optimism, really. Yeah. Really, it's adapt to it. Okay, that's cool. Karen, how about you? Like when let me just ask you this question. When you look at your future, what do you see?
In regards to like.
In regards to these issues, yeah.
I think like our generation, I feel like is really good at placing emphasis on this. So I do think like as our generation grows and like we have like newer generations and we give our ideas to them, I hope that we take more accountability for things. But I do believe like I've seen a lot of for example, like there's like a changes in companies now that they really like to advertise what they're doing good. So like when I was hunting for jobs and stuff, I saw like that the first thing in their company's webpage of like how are we helping the climate change. And do
you see that as a good thing?
I see that as a good thing because I feel like back then maybe like 10 years ago when our generation was younger, that probably would have been on their first page.
Yeah, definitely 20. When you were born, that was
like,
no. Okay, so it's good that people are really putting it out there. Like, hey, we're really thinking about this. How often do you think about it?
Honestly, not that often. Just because I want to be like very truthful here.
No, be very truthful.
Yeah.
No, that's what I'm curious about.
But I do think, again, I think our generation is putting a big emphasis on it because
wait, but hang on, but stick to you. So you don't think about it very often?
No, not really. I do see some videos pop up. For example, recently I think like Taylor Swift was like being dragged on for like using her jet so much, and they're like that's not good for the environment and stuff like that. And then thrifting now also. They say that like it's really good for conserving water. Okay,
but okay, so when you hear me say, what were you thinking when I was talking about all these different people that are saying like, oh shit, this is really, really serious?
Yeah, I think just where I've been at, I haven't seen it in a first like person view.
Yeah.
So I don't really experience what like other people in the world have been
all right,
seeing.
that's cool. So you're a college student, man. You're just living your life.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. All right, that's good. Julia.
So this might be a little bit more pessimistic, but I see honestly higher temperatures, people migrating to possibly like the north, especially like those who live in the south, people migrating to the north. More natural disasters, disappearing or sinking islands. So yeah, a bit more pessimistic, but.
And how often do you think about this issue?
So whenever I'm abroad, so whenever I'm in the Philippines, I definitely think about it a lot more there.
It's really impacting the Philippines,
Definitely.
by the way.
Yeah. So I'd say pretty often, but if I had to give it like, I'd say honestly like at least once a week.
Once a week?
Yes.
For you, once a month?
Probably in the summer because it's hot.
In the summer? Okay, more often in the summertime. Bro, how often do you think about this?
Like about what?
Climate change. Wait, do we have another mic? Oh, wait, no, that's okay. Climate change. Climate collapse. I'm going to call it climate collapse because it really is more collapse, by the way. How often do you think about it?
Like it's getting hotter than last summer.
Yeah.
And I think I feel climate collapse.
Yeah, but how often do you think about it? Like either because you watch the news or like something. Like is it like? Cause I don't know how. When you're back in Korea, it's like Koreans are talking about this a lot. Oh, yeah. So like how often do you think about it when you're in Korea? Every day?
Like sometimes, cause like there's a lot of media stressing this like climate collapse.
Okay. All right.
And government policy is getting like they're trying to give subsidies to company who stick to like eco-friendly.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
No, your government is doing really some very, very important things. So is the U.S. government. Everybody is. All right, Sam, how about you, man? How often are you thinking about this as you hang upside down on your rocks or whatever it is you do?
I'd say I think about it to an extent every day, just because of things I see in media.
And what are you thinking about?
Thinking about weather windows for seasons, like for climbing season, it's when it's cold.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking about, this weekend, whether it's going to be cold or not. It hasn't been cold a lot. I'm thinking about that a lot, and I'm thinking about just, I don't know, just about the unfortunate nature of the situation.
And when you say the unfortunate nature of the situation, what do you mean? So, hey, can I just say something, by the way, before we go? Look, I want to say something. I recognize that we really almost certainly are in an existential space, an existential frame that human beings have never been in all of our years on this planet. That you can't even comprehend. What we're talking about is existential collapse of the world as we know it, okay? Really, you can't even comprehend that. I was giving a talk, actually, Lucas, by the way, in Korea once, when it was all about the existential. We can't hold in our minds what this really, really would mean. It's kind of like the people now in the western central Florida, where the hurricane is barreling down on them. You can't even comprehend what a Category 4 or a Category 5 would mean to hit the Tampa area. Does anyone live down there on Tampa? Yeah, South Florida. Yeah, so you get it, though. Dude, you can't hold it. What we're talking about is the radical transformation of life on this earth at every level, right? So for me, it can be a challenge. It doesn't, but this is what we're talking about. So you have to hold it in your mind. And at your ages, bro, at your age, you can't. How do any of you hold that, really? You haven't been around long enough. You don't get a sense of it. It's like you just come of age. You just like You're not even 21, right? You just turned 21 when?
April.
Okay, all right, you just turned 21. Are you 21? 19. You're 19. You're not even old enough to drink. Like, my God, like, she's not even old enough to drink. Like, to go out and party and, like, drown your sorrows. I mean, you can. I guess you can. But do you know what I mean? It's like, you can't even, like, fuck, man, I can't even drink yet. And now I got to think about the collapse of civilization on the earth. Like that is, I can't even hold that. You know what I mean? At least I've been old enough to drink for 43 years, so I'm good, right? Anyway, bro, listen, man. So you think about the issue a lot. What? When I just said what I just said about the existential collapse, right? What do you hear? Like, this is an existential issue.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean?
I immediately think of, like, the state of the United States and how, like, half the people in our country don't believe it's a thing. That's what my mind goes to.
Yeah, it's not quite half.
Yeah.
Most people think it's a thing, but they don't think that human beings have such a strong hand in it.
Yeah, that's what my mind goes to, because especially with the election and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's a lot of the media I'm seeing is about, you know, what party's going to do what, that kind of thing.
But doesn't it make sense, though, that, look, for example, like, I don't know that I'm right, okay? But I look at the people who are running the world and running this country in particular, and they all believe it. They're just like, yep, it's happening, man. Some of them are building new industries and going to make a profit of it, because that's the nature of free market capitalism. That's how you make things happen, right? The free market. You change something, and then you make a profit from it, and then you sell it out into the world. That's a good thing. So of course we have all these new industries coming up that are green industries, and like they're going to find new ways to make energy, because it's all about making energy, because we need energy. So it's all about making energy in ways that doesn't put CO2 up in the atmosphere. It's like, okay, that's a good thing, man. This is the free market, okay? But like, it seems to me that the easiest place to be, and in a way maybe the smartest place to be, at least till you turn 21 and you get like 6 months of heavy drinking in or something, you can drown your sorrows, I don't know, right? But like, it seems to me that denial would be why wouldn't you be in denial? Why would I want to believe this? Why would you want to believe it, bro?
I think people should believe it just because, you know, future generations are going to be affected, whether you like it or not.
You might take the S off of that, even.
Yeah.
You said future generations.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, this is like, yeah, all right. We'll leave the S on for a moment. Okay, so you should believe it. But doesn't it make sense just to live your lives? And like,
That's certainly one way to think of it.
yeah, I mean, let other people take care of it. I don't know.
Yeah. But in my view, especially with an election, as an American citizen, I have the power to use my vote to put someone in office that more aligns with, you know, thinking climate change is a real threat.
Yeah, well, I think that I'm probably pretty sure that both candidates are smart enough to know that it's a really serious threat. Yeah, it's just a matter of who wants to play their hand more. Yeah. Julia, what are you, when you're not thinking about it up here, this issue, right? You're back in the Philippines, let's say, or what are you thinking about that's more important than this issue? Right.
Like, other issues that I'm thinking about that
Well,
are
hang on. Before I ask that question, what do you think about when I talk about existential threat? Like to radically transform life on Earth for every being that lives on Earth. Not every single spot, but this is serious. If they're right, and I suspect they're probably closer to right than being wrong. So what do you think about when I say that?
honestly just whether or not having children, for example, whether or not that's actually attainable, whether or not in the direction we're heading, whether or not this may even potentially get worse. I guess like a turning point, possibly.
Well, the idea, the way to understand systems live in this state of equilibrium, right? So everyone gets that. Here, you can, hang on, what camera am I doing? That camera? That camera. Okay, here we go. You ready? So systems live in this state of equilibrium. It's like a teeter-totter. You ever play that on the playground? You're back and you're forth, and you want to be in that state of equilibrium. And that's how systems operate, okay? But you ever notice that when you're on like a teeter-totter and you start to go a little too far, you just can't bring it back. It just throws it way off. You have to be really, really in a state of balance, okay? Equilibrium. And things fall apart really fast. Things get chaotic really, really fast, like a traffic jam. It starts as a traffic jam really slowly, and then suddenly it just, boom, it's gone. It's all over with, okay? So systems tend to be they want equilibrium. So the climate system is a system, the Earth system, right? It wants equilibrium. Every system wants to go back to equilibrium. The problem is when it gets a little bit out of whack, it really gets out of whack very quickly. And that's why people are talking about not just climate change, but climate collapse. And the collapse is the collapse of the system. That one thing goes, everything is interconnected. It's here, it's there, it's here, it's there. Everything is connected. And so that's the idea. So when you hear that, what are you thinking? You said something about having kids. What else?
Well, I think my problem with this is that like so many issues relate to climate change, right? Like the possibility of like prices for consumers increasing, maybe even housing, like
Definitely housing.
right. I just feel like, if there is a turning point, if we are able to somehow find a solution where we are able to actually create a sustainable future, like how far into the future will we create that solution if we ever do?
That's a good question. I don't know. First off, by the way, let me be really clear. Life isn't going away on this planet, right? Life is here. Life is transforming all the time. Human beings are going to be here. We're not going to, cede the planet in the near future to the cockroaches or the rats or whatever it is. Like, that's not going to happen anytime in the near future. What it is, it's the transformation in how we live life and what we're able to do and what we're able to sustain, right? So, okay, so those are good questions. So now I want to ask you another question really fast. What are you thinking about other than this? Well, here, I'm going to give you an example, right? So a few years ago, about 8 years ago at Penn State, when World in Conversation was really, really jamming, and like we were doing 3,000 dialogues a year at World in Conversation. We were, at that point in time, for many years, we were the largest dialogue center in the world. We had 150 people working with us. We were doing so many conversations, right? And I went to the Old Main, because back then I knew everybody in Old Main, and I said, hey, here's what we're going to do. We're going to switch. Instead of talking about culture and race and ethnicity, we're going to talk about climate, the environment, and climate change. And we're going to start a movement here at Penn State where every single student is, we're just going to engage and we're going to build it out and we're going to build it virtually and we're just going to start a nationwide and a global. We were working in 30 different countries, so we're going to do just this global movement. We're just going to start it where people are just talking about this all the time, just like you all are doing, right? Like we're doing here. Because what I said at the time, the reason I wanted to do this, wait, hang on, where's the, dude, we're here in blue. All right, what I said was, there's probably no other issue that matches this. There's nothing. What else are we going to talk about? Like immigration? Like there's no other issue. This is the issue. This is the existential issue. There's nothing else to talk about that's more important than this. And the administration, I couldn't get movement on it. I couldn't get the movement that I needed. And so we didn't do it. We did it for a few years, and that was it, man. I couldn't make it happen. It's like pushing a boulder uphill. Every day. So I said to myself, there's no other issue, there's nothing else that's more important than this issue for human beings for my students to be talking about. I don't even know why I'm continuing to teach Social 119. I should only be talking about the environment and the climate. Like this is the only thing. This is the thing. Not the only thing. It's the most important thing. But here I am, still talking about all the issues we talk about in here. So I'm asking you, just out of curiosity, what do you think about when you're not thinking about this as a 19-year-old?
So, I mean, there are obviously personal issues, right? Like in regards to like education, for example. Like how am I going to be able to fund my way, to the end of, semester, to the end of, my semester. So there are personal issues like that. But I mean, I also think about like issues that apply to everyone on a national level as well, like social issues like, race, like our justice system, immigration. But then again, yeah, climate change affects all of those. So it's like, in a way, to an extent, I am always thinking about climate change.
Okay. All right, that's cool. Guy, you have a question?
Yeah, so we were talking about existential crisis, and I was just curious to hear from you guys, as in how paranoid we should be compared to that of other existential crises we've already been through. Because the COVID pandemic, or Y2K, or even the nuclear threat during the Cold War, they're all, you could describe it as existential crisis that humanity has never really like gone through before, but they've all been resolved or, with more or less damage. What makes this any different, and how much more paranoid should we be, do you guys think?
Dude, that's a really good question. So you all don't remember, like when I was a little kid, we used to go down. So at the peak of the Cold War, we had enough, between the Russians and us, the Soviet Union and us, we had enough missiles loaded up and ready to fire off that could blow the world up. The estimate was 50 times over. We had enough to blow the entire planet up 50 times. That's how many nuclear weapons we had loaded up and ready to go. Okay? 50 times. So when I was a kid, I remember when I was in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, we would go down to the basement of the school because we had nuclear war drills. And we'd sit in the corner, and they'd say, like, okay, now put your head down. And we'd sit. Hang on. Wait, can you get me on the, yeah, you got me. We'd sit on the ground like this, and with our backs against the wall, with our heads down, waiting for the nuclear bombs to go off and blow the world up. Like, talk about, when I look back, that's how I know that human beings are insane. You know what I mean? To tell little kids I basically just said, put your head between your legs and so you can kiss your ass goodbye or whatever. I don't know, man. I mean, it's just like, Jesus. Okay? So we got through that. This is what you're saying, right? We got through that. We made it through Y2K is like, okay, that didn't kill us. We made it through COVID, which, you all don't understand that at the beginning of COVID, this thing could have wiped out, 1 billion people. We might get another one that'll wipe out 1 billion people. You don't know. We're going to get these viruses. And at the beginning, we didn't know what this was going to be. If it was going to be the one that just takes us all out. But it didn't. So what G's asking, in a way, what you're asking, bro, is like, how much do you look ahead and you're like, yeah, okay, we're going to figure this out? Like Lucas, you were sort of implying that earlier. It's like, yeah, no, we'll work it out. Am I right, bro? Did I get it?
Just like, how concerned should we be, and how paranoid do you think we should be for this upcoming existential crisis?
That's a really cool question.
Think of as COVID, like there are like advance of biotechnology, like vaccination. And I think the most important thing is people's lifestyle, because people like always wearing their mask, and like they don't even wear a mask before. And
Dude, hang on. That was only in Korea, my friend. You guys wore masks pretty freely. Here, people wore masks when they were some people did, obviously. Maybe half the population. But the other half of the population had to be threatened to wear a mask. But you, being the Korean that you are, you live
my
your
experience, yeah.
Yeah, because you wear a mask to protect other people as well as protect you.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
First to protect other people.
Yeah.
Wait, hang on. Can you explain that to people? Because you really need to understand this.
So like we can take off our mask after we take a vaccination.
Yeah.
And like, so a lot of people were doing like similar like appearance, like wearing a mask.
Mm-hmm.
So I think like I was in that wave too. And like similar to COVID, like to this discussion of like climate change. And so I think the most important thing is like we should consume less. I mean, like people consume a lot, and like to cope that situation, a lot of factories being operated. So I mean, I don't want to stress that we don't need any like nuclear energy. I think that's needed, but the most important thing is people's lifestyle has to be changed.
Okay, so that's a hard thing though. Here's what what you got to do. First off, I just want to really fast go back to the mask thing. What I was saying, I just want to say this to you so you're not confused. In China, in East Asia, China, Korea, Japan, etc., it's like the motivation to wear a mask is to protect other people. It's also to protect yourself. But the first thing you're thinking about, if you're going to be in a balance thing, if you're going to be in balance, the imbalance is toward protecting other people. Here, the only reason you wear a mask is to protect yourself. It's like, I don't give a shit about other people. I got to protect me. There, it's communitarian orientation, fundamentally. So it's you're going to lean toward, I got to protect other people. Here, we're going to lean toward, I got to protect myself. And that's a different way of seeing. Okay, so now, what I want you to do, Lucas, is I want you to look out to the class. All these people, everyone who has hopes and dreams, just like you do. You want to go back. You're from Seoul, right? Yeah. You want to have a job. You want to make enough money to buy a house, buy an apartment in Seoul.
No.
Yeah? Where you want to be?
This is quite personal information.
Oh, well, hang on. You don't share it though.
I'm gonna like come to US when I'm like.
Oh, all right. Okay, so you want to come here then. All right. So you want to come here. You want to have a house. You want to have an apartment. You want to get a car. I mean, there are things that people want, right? Everybody wants that, man. Everybody wants that. So now what I want you to do is tell everybody, including yourself, we'll hold a mirror up to you while you're talking. Tell every one of these people that they have to consume less. The only way to survive, for all of us to survive, is for every one of them to consume less. Like all their hopes and dreams, they all want a big house. They want a big car. They want multiple cars. They don't want just like a, they want like a Genesis, like a G90. You know what I mean? You don't want. So what you you got it, right? You know what I mean? Bro, if you ever rode in a G90, you'd be like, damn, I want one of these cars. So you want you to tell every one of them they got to consume less. Just like explain to them. And they're all going to see how they're looking at you right now? They're looking at you like you have 3 heads.
Like, even if you guys don't want to consume less, I think the prices are gonna get expensive as a climate change, and so like only people who are capable to do that consume will like afford that.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. No, totally. No, it's gonna change. It's gonna if these folks are correct, it's gonna force us. Karen. So when you hear, you have your dreams, right? Your dreams for your future.
Yes.
Your parents have their dreams for your future.
Right.
Do they want to have grandkids?
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably.
They want you to have a house. They want you to have a car. They want you to have at least one husband, maybe, whatever. Like whatever it is, okay? I assume you want all those things.
Right.
Okay,
Yes.
so now what you're hearing, what Lucas just said is like, yeah, well, maybe the future is not going to be like that. Maybe you're going to not be able to have all the things that you want to have. Okay, so how is that to hear that for someone who's your age?
Well, I definitely do think, like what she brought upon, like having children, is that even like, do I even want to bring children if it's going to be like that? I do think about that often.
Uh-huh.
But I guess like when you hear things like that, the first thing that comes back to you is like accountability, and you start to feel almost like hopeless and guilty to how to help the situation. How far are we in this hole? Like how deep is the hole?
So what would you have to hear to not feel hopeless? Because hopeless is not the feeling. Hopeless is not the feeling that I don't want to spread that feeling, because it's like this is a world that's happening. It's coming, right? But you can't feel hopeless. Hopeless is like, well, you can, but like, what would you have to hear to not feel hopeless?
Maybe like statistics about like if we all do something as a community together, like maybe make our cities more walkable, because I've seen like the comparison between different cities, and people can ride bikes in some cities instead of using cars, and I don't see that here very often. It's kind of like hard to do that here. So maybe if we like did more walkable cities, then I would be like, oh well, there's other options besides taking a car to your work.
Okay, so what I'm hearing from you is, hey, if we set a world up where it was much more environmentally friendly, we were saving loads of energy and so on, you'd go along with it.
Tons, because I do feel like some people may not have the time to even think about these issues or go out of their way with all their personal problems. Like for me, I think like my biggest issue would be to make enough money to support myself here in college, which is already really rough. So I can't go out of my way sometimes to maybe like, oh, maybe I should be a better human and advocate for this. But I need to sustain myself and work the whole summer practically to make money to come here. But if I had the option to do things better and they were just right there, then I would definitely take that route. So
one of the things for you is that, you've got it, you're willing, but you're busy moving along.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I feel like that would be like a very popular like mindset as well. Like if you had the option to walk to work, I feel like a lot of people would do that.
Yeah,
it's just not a possibility where I live.
Yeah. Okay. Sam, were you going to say something?
Yeah, to add that, I think a lot of more sustainable brands that we think of are a lot more expensive
Yeah.
than other cheaper,
Yep.
like not made well things.
Yep. Like you can buy a T-shirt for $5.
Yeah,
You
and that
know,
might.
or you can buy it for $15.
Yeah, and so I think maybe, if those things were more accessible, people would buy those more often, buy less clothes in general, because they last longer, because they're better quality.
So, but so the one side of that is like we have to be willing. You folks have to be willing to be educated on what those things are. Which means, you know, you really got to know, like, okay, wait, hang on a second. I got to understand why it is that this shirt, right, this particular shirt, let's say, it's going to cost me $20. It's going to last a lot longer, but it's going to cost $20 than the cheap one I can get at Walmart for $5. Like, you got to know that. But then you got to take responsibility to figure that out, because no one's going to, like, people will say, well, how come I didn't know? Like, how many people, dude, for example, I mentioned earlier, October 7th, 2023. I'll bet half the class. I know all the Jewish students in here know what happened on October 7th, 2023, but I'll bet about half the class have no idea. They don't know how many people died. They don't even know if people died. I just told them they did, so okay. So, like, you know, you have to take responsibility for that. Hey, Julie, I have a question, and then we have a question from the stream. So you in particular, we're going to have a lot of climate refugees. We already do. Okay, we have climate. Have you heard about the floods happening in Central Africa right now?
Not in Central Africa, no.
Mm-hmm. Okay. If this hurricane hits Tampa in the way that we expect, and we have climate refugees, who should pay for that? Who's going to pay for that? Who's responsible for it?
I think that a lot of developed countries, including the United States, I feel like they are disproportionately releasing like greenhouse gases.
Okay.
And even though our countries may have physical borders, our climate does not. So in terms of like climate refugees, I think the problem is that like they are disproportionately impacted
Yep.
by the actions that we take as a developed country.
Yep.
And so because of that, they moved, like, I know that there were some like climate refugees like from the Pacific, they moved to Australia, but they
Yep.
were denied.
Yeah.
Even though a lot of these developed countries are the reason why
Yep.
we're struggling with climate refugees.
Yep.
So I feel like a lot of developed countries, I feel like they should be very like conscious of what they've been doing to other countries as well.
Well, so here's the thing. Here's a basic thing on that, right? When I look at this classroom, when I look at I think about the United States, just the United States, forget about other countries, right? I think about how much CO2 went into this classroom. The carpet, the table, the technology, the lights, the building, everything. How much CO2 goes into building this, the United States becoming the most powerful nation in the world. It's like, that's a lot of CO2. But now that's already been expended. So now we get, you know, Tahiti, Philippines, right? Wherever we want to go. Malaysia, anywhere in Micronesia, one of the hundreds and even thousands of islands. Like, they didn't put the CO2 up in the atmosphere, but they're the ones who are losing their shoreline. So, yeah, that's a really good point. Brooke. D. And then we're going to go to the stream. Wait, hang on. Can we go to the stream first? All right. Jeff from PAS. Did Lucas know of Sam's social name? Did Lucas? Oh.
Yes.
You knew of this class before you came to Penn State?
Yeah, because like this class is famous in Korea. Like there are a lot of Korean YouTubes who introduced this class. And there are some famous class like Koreans know, and it popped up in my YouTube algorithm, and I saw it, and I got a chance to go alumni event in Korea. I mean, Penn State alumni event. I was invited by my coordinator, and I met Sam, and oh yeah, that's what happened.
And you're here. Did we have a beer together? Did we have a beer together? I don't remember.
No.
All right. Is there another? All right. D, you're on, man.
I have two questions. Yeah, but I'll just ask one. Okay. So this is also Professor Richards. You also mentioned a part of the question, but in a more generational aspect, why should our generation be burdened with such a monumental task when, frankly speaking, we are probably the least when it comes to the contributing factors of the climate disaster that is upcoming towards us?
All right, man. Do you have an answer to that question?
It's a good question.
It's a good question. You answer your own question, man. And don't say we shouldn't be. Answer your own question. Wait, hang on, Matthew. Can you answer this question? Why should you guys be burdened with this issue?
I don't know. Wait, repeat the question, sorry.
The question is, why should your generation be burdened with this question of climate change when, like, it's my generation that caused it?
I mean, because we're the ones who have to solve it.
Dude, there it is. That's
future
the answer.
generations.
You got it, man. That's it. Because you got to solve it. And we're going to do it too, right? All the, what Lucas said, like, what you're all saying. It's like, well, we're part of it too, but you guys got to solve it. You can sit back and say, like, why should we have to? Whatever, dude. You could be drowning in the ocean and say, like, why should I have to swim to shore? Because if you effing don't swim to shore, you're going to drown. That's what it is. Yeah. Dude, is there another one on the stream? Bob, other than the climate changing, what other aspects of the world's geopolitics and economic systems will experience the possibility of collapse due to the climate evolution? Whoa, that's a cool question. Wait, hang on. Bob, I'm going to answer that one on office hours tomorrow, by the way. All right? Hey, listen, this is a really big topic, right? It's a really heavy topic. It's a big topic. Can we have a round of applause for yeah. Dude, nice. Dude, Matthew, thanks. Matt, thanks for the answer to the question. All right. Are we ready for the quiz? Hey, nice job. Thanks, man. So we'll see you all. Go ahead. You can put it up. Yeah.